Welcome to the Fibromyalgia Podcast. I'm your coach, Tami Stackelhouse, and this is episode 149. Today, I want to introduce you to Mandy Farmer and her book, Soft Hugs for Mommy. Soft Hugs for Mommy tells the story of a loving family as they navigate the challenges of mommy's chronic pain condition. Filled with tender moments and caring gestures, the book seeks to encourage understanding and unconditional love. The family helps mommy with her invisible illness, which the little girl calls fibromyalgia, which I just love. They offer gentle hugs, thoughtful acts of kindness, and comforting words. Soft Hugs for Mommy also includes a Let's Talk section to open up the conversation between the parent or adult and the child. These questions, created with a child psychologist, allow children to express their feelings about mommy's illness. This book is an excellent gift for the young ones in your life, or for anyone who has little ones, or really just anyone. If you're looking for last-minute Christmas gifts, consider getting a copy of Soft Hugs for Mommy. This is also an excellent gift for your doctor or dentist. They can put it in their waiting room, for church libraries, school libraries, and libraries. This is also a great opportunity to give last-minute year-end donations that may even be tax-deductible. And speaking of Christmas gifts, I have just published my Tammy's Favorite Things list for 2024. You can think, Oprah's favorite things, but with a fibro focus. We'll have a link to that along with where you can buy Soft Hugs for Mommy and the other books mentioned in this episode at fibromyalgiapodcast.com/149. Also, stay tuned after my interview with Mandy, and I will share more information with you on our upcoming free Fibromyalgia Wellness Summit that'll be happening in January. So stay on after the interview. Now, let me introduce you to our guest. Mandy Farmer served as a pastor's wife and children's minister for over 25 years, teaching, singing, and developing curriculum. However, in 2011, her life took an unexpected turn, and she found herself on her back in excruciating pain. Mandy and her husband retired in 2016 and moved to Savannah, Georgia, near their 4 adult children. Mandy started blogging about her journey with God and with pain, and encouraged to publish, she finally began to work on publishing a devotional. She took a course in self-publishing to learn the ropes, and Mandy's farm heritage led her to write a picture book based on farm life. Her first self-published picture book, Holly the Holstein Talks About Milk Cows, emerged in 2022. Then, because she saw a need within the family context for understanding chronic illness, Mandy wanted to write something about chronic pain for children. Soft Hugs for Mommy was the beautiful result. Mandy continues to work on that devotional for those who suffer from chronic pain. Here's my conversation with Mandy. Hi, Mandy. Welcome. I'm so excited to share you and your book on the podcast here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm very excited. I've been following you for years, and so I felt like this will be exciting in connection with people that can really use my resources.
Yes, absolutely. So I always like to start with a little bit of background. You have fibromyalgia yourself, among other things,
Yes,
right? Like all of us.
right.
So how did that all start for you?
Well, in retrospect, very early on in life, because I have had pain that I didn't know that that's what it was, and they didn't know about it back 50, 60 years ago either. So, but and during puberty, I had at the time what they called growing pains, which they have found that is really one of the first signs. And I'm only barely over 5 foot, and I always joke about if it was growing pains, I'd be a lot taller than I am. But anyway, I really did had a lot of back pain But besides that, I got into my adulthood. I was 50 when the pain really just struck and took me out, where I was flat on my back for about a month and then just going from doctor to doctor at that point. Um, but rather quickly, because where we lived, there was no specialists. So rather quickly, I was sent to Mayo Clinic and received the diagnosis of fibromyalgia. And we started to treat that, and I got control of some of the pain that way. Before that, I was on high steroids, lots of steroids. And then I had to kind of inch off of the steroids. As I did that, the swelling from rheumatoid arthritis took over. And when they started looking at that, they were like, wow, your knees, your joints look really gnarly. I'm sending you back down to Mayo Clinic. And so we went back down and he said, I think it's just osteoarthritis, but let's do the labs again. And when he did, then it showed up that it was indeed rheumatoid arthritis. And that was, that those steroids were hiding that that time. And so then we got that under control rather quickly. And it's mostly the fibro that I have to keep an eye on these days.
Yeah. Wow. That's like a lot of our stories, right? Where
Yes,
we
it
start
is.
off over here and end up over there.
Right.
Oh
But
gosh.
I feel like I was fortunate because I hear a lot of stories about people going for years. Although I guess I did go for years, but really when I was, at the point of really needing help with it, it was only about 6 months, until found something that would help.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but some people go years, so I feel
Yes.
fortunate. I feel very fortunate.
That's great. That's great. And how are things for you now?
Now, I just have to be very careful about overdoing, which is very easy for me to do. I guess, the type A personality, that's another kind of a
Uh-huh.
indicator that you can have fibro. And so my husband pulls back on those reins a lot for me and tells me, warns me, he always said, you make the decision, but you might regret doing this or whatever, and so
Hmm.
he has been that person for me, and he's pretty much taken over all the kinds of things that I do around the house. He does most of those. And of course, I was in children's ministry. I had to give that up rather quickly um, because I have all of the heightened senses
Hmm.
and where before I could deal with kids and their rambunctiousness or whatever, and then all of a sudden it was just like, uh, no, I can't take that anymore. So I hated that. That was the hardest part of the new normal, you might say, because
Hmm.
children have always been one of my loves. I love working with the kids.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's how
Yeah.
things have changed. But we are here now where my husband had to retire pretty much due to my illness. And just let's see, today is 9 years since we retired and moved and just been kind of living uh as we can.
Hmm.
So, on just we really learned how to downsize. And I am on disability, so that has helped a lot. But we're just living on what Medicare pays us and Social Security pays us, and that's not a lot. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but the Lord He provides all our needs, and we're realizing that you don't really need all that stuff.
Yes, I think all that stuff we've moved a couple of times in the last few years, and we moved
Mhm.
to Seattle and then moved again. But when you do those kinds of moves or you have a
Oh,
situation
yes.
like yours, you realize how much of that stuff is actually making life harder.
Right, right. I know one time just in ministry when we moved from one church to another, we had this house that had like a garage type attachment. And in there, we had put boxes and boxes of things we moved from the previous house that there just was no place for it in this house. And so we were getting ready to move, and I was like, well, you know what? We haven't needed it for all these years we've been living here, so evidently we don't need them.
That's right.
So we just had to put them in a big yard sale, and
Yeah,
but you collect over the years.
you do.
You
You
know,
do. Oh, goodness. But as you're talking about retiring, I was sort of
yes,
laughing inside my head because that didn't, I mean, it's not like you're sitting around doing nothing.
yeah, yeah. Because really, right after that, I started blogging, you know, mostly about the chronic pain. And from the standpoint of trying to help friends understand what you're going through and family, not so much to reach out to other um, patients at that time, but just to help explain things to those that are around you and hoping that people could share them with their friends and understand. I
Hmm.
had, like for a long time, a series called Letters to Friends, and it would just be answering one little simple question about why are you like this? Why do you do that? And I had different people that I knew that were suffering. They would share just a short, kind of like in letter form, those kinds of things. So
Hmm.
that was real popular. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And if my understanding is correct, it was that blog that kind of then turned into you writing your first book, right?
yes, the blog, almost right away, there was a challenge in a group I was with in October. Write 5 minutes a day, no editing, just write for 5 minutes a day and post it, share it, and then we'll read so many other people's, and they read yours. So I was just writing about chronic pain, and people it was resonating with people. And I met a lot of the people that are now, I consider, some of my closest friends through that. And they were saying, you need to, put this in a book. And I was like, okay, sure. you know,
Right.
and but it was in 2020 that I said, okay, maybe I need to try to start working on that. So I joined some writers clubs and things like that. And that was the year COVID hit. So um, the writers conferences went online, which
Which
was
is so much
helpful.
more fibro friendly, right?
Yes, yes, because I could never have gone, because even if I could have sat through them, I was like, in order for me to take a caregiver, I would have to pay for them to go. So right off the bat, it was twice as much money. And then no, there's just no way you can sit through all of those sessions. And I went to I can't remember the name of it now, but it was a good conference. She Writes for Him. That's what it was. And it was very, very good. And I was actually being able to watch most of it when it was live because I was at home and I could actually get up and walk around and you wouldn't be disturbing anybody, or you could
Right.
do whatever.
You could
And you
wiggle, you could use your heating
yeah,
pad, your ice pack, your whatever, right?
exactly, exactly. And so that was great. And I got some great connections there. And I met this young girl that she was getting ready to write a little a course. It was for homeschoolers, and it was a little course to help parents that were homeschooling to encourage their kids to write, and then they write stories and publish them, you know,
Oh,
which is
fun.
yeah, it is. It's real fun. And what she does, a little bit backwards from the way you write a book, but she would find a set of pictures, and then the children write around a story around the pictures,
Right.
you know,
Yes.
and then she would self-publish them. And so she says, you want to be a beta tester? And I'm like, that sounds like a great way to learn how to self-publish. So,
I
and
love things
so,
like that.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I did that. And, well, when I went looking for pictures, it was hard to find sick people and,
Right.
the
Yeah.
pictures that I wanted for that. And so, the other thing I know a lot about is cows because I grew up on a dairy farm. And so I found this beautiful set of dairy cows. And so I wrote a story about milk cows. And
Fun.
I figured, oh, I'll sell 10 or 12 to my family. And, we were all farmers, and some of them still farm. So their kids would enjoy it, or else, um, it would help them understand about a time that they were no longer involved in, so.
Mm-hmm.
But now in the world sense, it didn't sell like a New York Times seller, but several hundred
That's
books. And
awesome.
I still sell at least one every month,
That's
you know.
awesome.
And so that was my first one. And then I met another gal that had a children's writing critique group where you come together and you share a little piece of what you're writing, and everybody gives their advice and that kind of thing. And so they are the ones that helped me to write Soft Hugs for Mommy.
Mm, that's awesome. That's awesome. And, for you listening, let this be a reminder that, chronic pain, fibromyalgia, chronic illness, that doesn't mean that we can't do things, right? We
Right,
just have to do them a different way. We
right.
have to do them our way.
Yeah. And it was finding a new normal. It redirected my life. I had no clue that ever I would be writing books. I
Mhm.
laughed because when I went to college, my first English paper I got an F on, So I said, well, okay, no, we're not going to be a writer, okay?
And then
Now
if
here
that ends up being what you're doing, yeah.
yeah, I know. It's that's a God's irony.
Yes.
So,
Uh-huh.
oh,
For sure,
so
for sure.
anyway, yeah.
So tell
Um,
us about Soft Hugs for Mommy. That's your new book. It's
yes.
just out, right?
Yes, this summer it came out in May, and this is it. You can't really see it, so there. I put it right in front of me. Soft Hugs for Mommy. And the hardback just came out in the last couple of weeks. And so we're very excited about that. And we've been able to do some book shows and such. But it's about a family, and it's a little girl telling the story, and she has a big brother. And she talks about how great her mom is, but then she got sick. And she talks about the things mommy used to do, and now she can't do them. And about midway through the book, then it talks about the going to all the doctors. And there's some pages that are explanations of fibromyalgia. Very simple, but and the little girl calls it fibromyalgia.
I thought that was super cute. I loved that.
Yeah, my the formatter's like, oh, did you come up with that yourself? And I said, yeah, or he asked me, is that what all of the patients call it? I said, I don't think so. I said, it just was
No,
something
I had
that
never heard that before, Mandy. I thought that was
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, and but I just thought, a 5-year-old might pronounce it that way,
Yeah.
and it makes a whole lot of sense, really. So that was a little fun piece in it, and then it talks about how the family adjusts, and how, instead of mommy doing the cooking, daddy helps, and sometimes people bring food, and sometimes if mom's having a good day, we get to go out and take a walk. and brother will ride his bike. And other days, mama has to just stay on the couch. And so we entertain her. I sing her songs, and my brother tells jokes, and um, just lots of little things like that. When mommy has to stay in bed, they get up on the bed with her, and
I
they,
loved that. And
you
the
know,
part about that I especially loved was that she says that that's her favorite.
yes, yes. Well,
Yeah,
I'll
so
tell you,
it's not like, oh, I'm so depressed, mom has to stay in bed. It's
yeah,
actually my favorite when mom has to stay
yeah,
in bed. And
yeah,
working with clients over the last 15 years, I would say that that's actually true.
yeah.
Right? We as
Hmm.
adults, as parents, as moms, like we think, oh, it's the worst.
It's the
But the
worst.
kids love
Yes.
that.
Yes, because you're slowed down and you're
Hmm.
actually paying attention to them.
Yes.
you know. Um, but it's now when I had the biggest amount of pain, my children were teenagers. I
Hmm.
only had one left in high school, really, and she was 15. But she would just get up in the bed with me, and we homeschooled in my bed.
Hmm.
you
Yep.
know,
Yep.
we read together. All of her required reading we did together. And it was just amazing to me. I learned so much. So I'll be like, I don't remember reading this book, or I don't remember learning this at all when I was in high school. But here it is, and enjoyed it way more than when I did in high school.
Right.
But for us, it was our favorite time too. It's just sitting on the bed and reading together. Um, so that's how it's loosely all related to our experience.
Hmm.
It's just I made the children smaller because I relate to smaller kids better. I'm, so
Yeah. So,
I,
what age then would you say this book is written for?
I would say that basically you could say 3 to 8, but you know, if you want to learn about fibromyalgia, it's a very simple way to. I think that it would help people understand about the challenges, no matter what age they are.
100%.
And yeah,
I've recommended this to clients with Melissa Swanson's book,
oh
Ravenstall,
yes, yeah,
and where, get a copy, kind of leave it on the coffee table. It's
mm-hmm.
cute. People are going to pick it up. They're going to flip through it, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
learn something in the process. Like you're probably not going to
exactly.
tell a teenager to read it, but if
No,
you leave it out,
out there, yeah, they're gonna pick it up. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so I had just a thought and it ran right through as fast as I could think of it. But okay, I was going to say that I've had people in reviews say that I didn't know anything about fibromyalgia, but now I know and I understand better. I've had people say, um, I used it with my grandchildren after I had a heart attack, and that we had to be careful and slow and, be
Hmm.
gentle with mama or grandma. And so, all different phases of life, I have had people say that it has been helpful.
Hmm.
So,
And even if you don't have chronic illness, chronic pain, even if you
right.
don't have fibromyalgia, like it's really great at teaching kids empathy.
Yes, yes. It really is. And that, you have to work together as a family. And in
Mhm.
the book, we talk about some of the things that we can do to help, like the gratitude list. Talk
Mm,
about the gratitude list in there,
yes.
and how they would work together and think of things that make them happy, or that they love doing, and just simple kindnesses that you can do, and that to be aware of other people and their needs, and to be kind. That those are good things to learn no matter what.
Hmm. for sure. And boy, do we
Yeah.
need more of that right
Oh,
now.
yes, we really do. We really do.
Oh,
Um,
goodness. So, I know you sort of briefly mentioned that you were part of that writers group, but how did the idea for this, how did the story for this, like how was that born?
oh, you're really stretching my brain. I'm trying to remember. Um,
I mean, it is
'Cause,
loosely based on your own
it's loosely
experiences,
based
right?
on my experience. So, um, since it was a children's group, and I was thinking, okay, well, maybe I should write children's books. Because really, originally, my blog, everything went into a spiritual thought, you know, and so I still have this great desire to publish a devotional for those with chronic illness. As a
Mhm.
matter of fact, it's written. We're just trying to get it published. And so I had that pretty much done even before I started the soft hugs. And I felt like, well, soft hugs would be a way to, and start reaching out to families and, and then, hey, mommy, I've got a devotional for you if you,
Mhm.
so that's kind of how it went. And it's kind of like, all right, I'm going to use my story, but I'm going to just make it for a younger audience. So
That's great. That's great.
that's
How
that's
about your illustrator? How did you connect? Was that somebody you already knew
I
or?
already knew her. She is also a pastor's wife here in Georgia in our denomination. And so we knew each other. She's also a writer. She hasn't published anything yet, but she does blog. And we connected through one of the book groups that we were in. And I just saw she posted something that she had painted. And I was like, Melissa, did you do that? And she said yes. And we had already found out that we were both chronic illness people.
Mm,
And hers is a much more severe. It's not fibromyalgia. She has renal um failure type things going on.
mm,
But she has to be very, very careful about overdoing and doing too much because she will have a crash. She's crashed many times over the past 2 years just doing doing this, but she really, really felt like she was supposed to do it,
mhm.
And I really liked the idea that she knows what it's like to feel that. I feel like she came through in her painting, as she painted the pictures. They're all hand painted and then we digitized it. But
That's awesome. So
uh
shout out to Melissa
the
Pickens, right?
Pickens, yes,
Yes,
yes.
as the wonderful illustrator for the book.
Yeah. And
Mm.
and she had never done that before either, but she was so diligent. She went out and got the information she needed. She talked to a lot of school teachers and people that work with kids, and she found out, what do you need? What do you want it to do? And she really jumped in head first, and she's still involved. She's still involved. 2 weeks ago we went to a ladies retreat for our district, and we both went. She said, hey, I'm going to make a big banner, and she is so creative. I'm not the creative one. I come up with ideas that other people can implement.
I can relate to that. I
even
can relate to that,
even
Mandy.
even in a children's ministry, it was like, okay, I want to do this play and I need somebody to build this big, huge set that does this or that, the other thing. And I've always had somebody there that could do that and do it fabulously. And I'm like, wow, I could never come up with that because when I try to put pictures on the wall, it looks like somebody just threw junk on the wall.
I
Oh,
know it's
but
always good to have those people in our lives that can.
yes. So she's been amazing that way. And through that, of course, our friendship has really grown and developed too. So it's just been an awesome experience.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And so your book is available on Amazon, I know. Is
Yes.
that the place to get it?
Basically, I would say yes. I do sell them on Etsy. I have an Etsy account that you can get any of my books and they will be signed. But now that the book is in hardback through Ingram Sparks, anybody can get it nearly anywhere, especially, online.
Yes,
You could go to Books a Million and ask them to order it for you, and you can
exactly.
get
Even
it that
your
way.
local bookstore, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's there everywhere. So that's the nice thing about that. If you go to softhugsformommy.com, that is where it'll send you to Amazon, or it'll send you to get the hardback, which we have on right now for Thanksgiving, the Black Friday special. It's 20% off. It's usually $24.99, and it's $19.99, I think, is what the price is. But for now, you can do that. And
That's
you
great.
can go to Etsy. My Etsy is called Legacy Gifts Creations. And you can order them there. And I've got puzzles. I got my cow book there. There's another cow book coming out shortly. Got a lot of cow stuff. We're working on uh, we're working on things for soft hugs, but there's not a lot of swag for it yet. But
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, guys, if you're listening and you're looking for good gifts for Christmas time,
yes,
can
yes,
I recommend Soft Hugs for Mommy? This would be
yes,
a great, great gift for the little ones in your life, but also a great gift for the people who have little ones in their lives.
yes,
And just like I've recommended with Melissa Swanson's book, Ravenstall, these are great things to buy a copy and take it to your doctor's office, right? They can have
yes,
it in the waiting room. Take copies to your church for their classrooms.
yes.
Like there's lots of places that we can spread the word. And obviously, selling more books does help Mandy, but let's be honest, selling more books helps all of us, right? Because the
Right.
the more people who understand what we go through, the better life can be for all of us, right?
Yes, that's right. And so I'm really trying to get it into as many libraries as possible, whether that be school library or um, the public libraries. I have gone through all the hoops, gotten all of the proper numbers and Library of Congress codes, and done
Yep, your
all of
ISBN
their,
and all those fun
yes,
things.
all those things that they want on there. So it is now available in hardback because they especially like it to be in hardback. It will be more durable that way.
Yes, especially children's
Um,
books. Yep, yep.
but yeah, if people want to, if they're thinking about, things they can do for their local library, donating books is a great ministry that way too, or a great Christmas gift to them.
Hmm.
So
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you've also done something that I think is fabulous with the book is have some conversation starters to
yes,
start those conversations with your children to like really help the message of the book soak in. So tell us a little bit about that.
okay. Right. Well, I got with a friend who is a child psychologist, and I had come up with some questions about, breaking the ice with your kids, about how you feeling about mommy being sick, or having to do more chores because mommy can't do them, or whatever. So all those kinds of things. I wrote down some questions. And Michelle Bankston, she wrote down questions, and helped me reword them a little bit. It's like a kid might not use that word, so use this word, and so there's like maybe 10 questions that you can talk with your child about. And I think is a very helpful little thing to do with them, because sometimes they don't know how to talk to you about it, and it comes out as anger.
Mhm.
You go through all of those same grief process that that you do
Absolutely.
with regular type grief. But
Right.
oh, there's a fun thing in the book. Did you see that there's a purple ribbons all hidden through the book? So um that's another thing that has resonated, that the kids love looking for the ribbons everywhere.
Kind of
So
like a little Where's Waldo, right? Like
yeah,
where's the
yeah,
find the ribbons? Yep.
yeah. So that's another little fun part of it. Because it can be kind of a heavy subject, I guess. So that's a way to kind of break the ice too.
And
So
also kind of hold the tension too, right? Like if you have to keep
yes,
looking for you can't just
yeah,
start thinking
yeah,
about.
something else or whatever, and you don't get through the book. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
found the ribbon. Now let's go to the next page. Find the next ribbon. So yes.
I
Mhm.
love that. I love that. And, I think having those conversations after reading the book kind of gives context to the conversation, but
Yes.
also gives you a chance to talk about it without talking about you, right? You can talk about, oh, what they did in the book,
Right.
which
Right.
can
What did
kind
they
of
do?
give a little bit of separation, maybe make it a little bit
Hmm.
easier to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does do that. It asks, what did the children do for their mommy? You know, that was kind of like, a soft hug is not just the physical actual hug. A soft hug is kindness.
Yeah.
Um,
I love that.
so doing little things for mommy,
Mhm.
um, drawing a picture or bringing her slippers. So, you know.
Absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of this, Mandy, both for your time today and
Mm-hmm.
sharing,
Yes.
behind the scenes on the book, but also just the book itself, right? Sharing your
Right.
story and putting that out there. I know as an author, like I imagine it's the same, even if it's just a children's book, but boy, it when you put something out there, it almost feels like you're naked.
Yeah, yeah, because you're like, okay, are they going to like it, or are they going to,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter what you do. You hate the critique part of things,
Yep.
and
Yep.
how, um, but, yeah, so it's it's a eye-opening experience, 'cause all that's involved in writing a book. It's just not,
It's a
a
lot more
sim
than you think it is.
yes,
Yeah.
mm-hmm, yeah.
And boy, it has a way of bringing up a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, when you're writing it, and then you're like especially with my devotion, when I'm going back and remembering certain things, and then all of that, you're digging back into that, because I know there's been like even Michelle Bankston, who's written books on pain and such, she said, when she felt like she needed to write a book on pain, she was like, no, because then I'm gonna have to go through it to write it, to write about it,
Exactly.
and I'm like, I don't want to do that, Lord. So
Oh,
but
that's so true.
yeah, but it helps you work through those things for sure in your own heart too. And like
Mhm.
but it's exciting to get the books out there and to see the excitement about it, and also
Yeah, that's awesome. So for you listening, we will have links to where you can get the book. We'll have links to the Amazon page and to Mandy's Etsy page, and of course to the Soft Hugs website. So if you want to, just go to today's show notes. We're fibromyalgiapodcast.com/149. This is episode 149, and we'll have all those links there. So, as we wrap up, Mandy, there's two things that I would love for you just to share with the people who are listening. So, the first one is for that person out there who thinks they might have a book in them, but think that maybe they can't because of their health. I would love for you to speak to that, and then I would also love for you just to speak to this idea of life not turning out the way that you thought that it would, but that you can
Wow.
still have amazing things anyway.
Yes, yes. Um, on the subject of the book, and it was a big surprise to me, that like when I first was writing the little blog post, and they were kind of devotional, and I thought, oh, I'll write this, publish this devotional. You find out that, oh, it has to be in a theme. You can't just take all these things that you wrote and plop them in there, and and voila, you have a beautiful book that people want to buy. Yeah, it is a challenge, but the community out online is just amazing, just amazing. Um, and everyone is willing to encourage you and help one another. You help them do, just like I helped Dawn with her course and did a beta read. People will say, yeah, I'll read your book. I'll give a review. And so don't give up on your idea. Go ahead and try to work on it, and go to a writing class, go to a conference. That there's so many that are online now. Usually they're free. But if you want to have them to listen to later, you have to pay. So
Right. Yeah.
so there's a lot like that that's just very helpful. I have had so much encouragement along the way that it's worth it. It takes time, but what doesn't? What good thing doesn't take time, you know?
Yep. Yep. Exactly right.
So go for it, I say.
I agree. I
Uh,
agree.
yeah. And I'll get more into in my devotion about your life taking a big turn, but excuse me, I learned so much just about, because I feel like I had exactly what I wanted in life. I was working with the children. I was a minister's wife. I was doing exactly what I wanted to do. And I was also, I had started a homeschool group, a co-op, and I was in charge of that. And all of that went away. All of it. We had to move. We had to quit being in ministry altogether, and had to quit working with children. All those things went away. But God found ways to redirect me. You know, if it's not so much an interruption as it is a redirection. That's what I like to say. Because if you look for it, you'll see that there's opportunities for you to have. It won't be the same life. It might not be as glamorous. It might not be as lucrative, but you can still have a good life after pain, during pain. You really
Yes.
can. You really can.
Yes. Yes, 100%. Yes, it's true. And I like that, that it is a redirection,
Mhm.
right? It's not an end, it's a change. And I think a lot of times we we aren't keeping our eyes open
Yeah,
for the possibilities
right.
of what things can be. We're just so focused on what we thought it should be
Should
that
be.
that
Yeah,
we're sort of have blinders on.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's okay to grieve that, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to. You need to have that time of grief. But grief, what the last step in your grief is acceptance, is that, okay, this is how it is, but there's still life, and there's still different things that you can do. And with the internet, it's like wide open, folks.
I think
Just,
that's the best gift that the pandemic gave us
yes,
was so
yes,
much more online access, which has been such a
yes.
benefit to those of us with
Mm-hmm.
chronic health conditions. Yeah.
Yes, amazing. So get on there, find, if you connect with me, I can connect people with writing places, with other fibro groups, or other people that are just chronic pain, or just general chronic illness. I'm connected with a lot of that. My newsletter at mandyfarmer.com, I give tips and tools every month, just tips and tools. I use soft hugs as a acronym, and I give little things for each letter uh, that they can use or look up or enjoy. And also one of those will be about telling about what I'm doing with my books, what's
Awesome.
next, that kind of thing. So,
That is amazing. That is amazing. Well, thank you so much, Mandy, for being here, for sharing your story. And like I said, thank you for the book. It's such a great resource. And for you listening, again, we'll have the links. Today's show notes, fibromyalgiapodcast.com/149. And do think about grabbing a copy of Soft Hugs for Mommy for the little ones in your life as a great Christmas gift.
yes. Thank you for having me. I have really enjoyed getting to talk with you today.
Thanks so much, Mandy. And that wraps up my interview with Mandy Farmer, author of Soft Hugs for Mommy. Right after we stopped recording, you know how it is with fibro brains, Mandy remembered that I should tell you, if you sign up for her newsletter at mandyfarmer.com, you'll actually receive some extra freebies and resources in that first email. So we'll have that link on today's show notes too. I also wanted to remind you that all those links where you can find Mandy's book, as well as Melissa Swanson's book, Raven's Doll, How to Explain Fibromyalgia to Your Child, we will have those links out there as well. These are honestly both excellent gifts for the little ones in your life, as well as your doctor and your dentist and any libraries you know. Like I mentioned earlier, these are great things, particularly whoever is treating your chronic pain. They are probably having patients come in at some point with little ones, and this great picture book is a way to help explain to those kids what's going on and maybe even entertain them for a little bit while they're waiting. So check those out. Some of these might even be considered tax-deductible donations if you're donating to your school or your church or your public library. So check with your tax advisor on that. And again, we'll have links where you can purchase these books in today's show notes. Just go to fibromyalgiapodcast.com/149. And speaking of Christmas gifts, like I mentioned at the beginning, my Tami's Favorite Things list for 2024 is now available. This is a list of 7 of my favorite things that I discovered in 2024. And honestly, these are things that I just could not live without. So go get your copy at fibromyalgiapodcast.com. You can look for resources in the main menu or look in today's show notes. Just sign up for that and we'll send you a PDF that even has, for some of the things, there's even special links and codes where you can get discounts on those. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this episode that I would have some additional information for you about our January free Fibromyalgia Wellness Summit. We have been working hard on this in the background, and we are so excited to have you join us in January. Now, if you have been burnt out on the usual summits, you know the ones I mean, where there are like 20 or 30 talking heads, more videos than you can ever watch, and contradicting information by experts who may have never even experienced fibromyalgia themselves. If that's been frustrating for you, or if you have bought recordings that you've never gone back and listened to, I think you will be excited to hear how we are providing this summit. First of all, every single one of our speakers is someone who has fibromyalgia. Yes, we are also experts, but before we became experts, we were patients, and we still are. In addition, we are fibromyalgia patients who have found ways to feel significantly better. Some of us, like me, even have our fibromyalgia in remission. Now, you'll be hearing from people who were where you are and who have now moved beyond that to the other side. Second, we are making this summit super fibro-friendly. We are offering one class each day. This class is going to be delivered straight to you as a private podcast, which means you'll be able to participate in the summit exactly the same way you're listening to this podcast episode right now. And depending on how you download your episodes, you are free to keep these forever. This is a private podcast, so that does mean you have to sign up. This isn't something that will appear on the Fibromyalgia Podcast, and it won't be something that you can just search for and find. You do have to sign up, but it will be free to do so. To sign up and get on our wait list or sign up for the event, just go to fibrowellnesssummit.com. And make sure you get all 3 S's in the middle there, because it's wellness with 2 S's and summit with an S at the beginning. So it is a little weird, but make sure you get all 3 S's. Now, our theme for this summit is Living Well with Fibromyalgia, Real Patients, Expert Advice, Proven Results. I will be speaking along with 6 of my certified fibromyalgia coaches. Dr. Robin Pfaff will teach how to break free from harsh self-criticism using mindful self-compassion. Registered nurse Giselle McDermott will explain MCS, multiple chemical sensitivities, and how that plays a role in fibromyalgia. You may have heard her talk about this on the podcast. Ann Garner will share some practical tips and advice from her experience navigating life as a fibro mom while managing fibromyalgia and raising a chronically ill child at the same time. You've also probably heard Ann on the podcast a couple of times. I will talk about how you can discover your fibromyalgia wellness style and get personalized strategies for managing your fibromyalgia. And I'll also share data from our soon-to-be-published retrospective study on the results of fibromyalgia coaching for improving fibromyalgia symptoms. Mickey Beaton will talk about the crucial role that self-care plays in enhancing the fibromyalgia treatment your doctor is prescribing. And Kim Osborne will share fibro-friendly food hacks and tips to simplify healthy eating for better living. Deb Thompson is going to share ways to balance work and fibromyalgia and some strategies for success. And finally, I'll give an overview of ways to treat the fibromyalgia symptoms of pain, fatigue, and brain fog, things that your doctor may not have tried yet. I'm going to try to keep that talk focused on maybe some of the lesser known options. Now, since we all have fibromyalgia, every speaker has fibromyalgia, we are also going to include a short interview with each guest speaker where they share a little bit of their fibromyalgia story, including some of their favorite treatments, what's helped them improve the most, and more. For those of you who would like to purchase all the insider goodies, we will also have a VIP level registration. Just to be clear, the summit itself, the private podcast, is absolutely free. But for those of you who want to upgrade to our VIP level, the paid registration gives you a backstage pass to our VIP room, which includes the chance to interact with all of our speakers, the other attendees, and me. We'll also be posting video recordings of our talks and interviews in the VIP room. So the summit itself is audio only, but if you like seeing who's talking, we will have those video recordings in our VIP room. We're working on some other additional VIP perks, such as other gifts, bonus recordings, and we'll just have to let you know about those as we get closer and as we work out those details. The summit is going to run from January 20th to January 31st. And again, remember, the summit itself is absolutely free. You just have to sign up and those recordings will be sent straight to you. You also have the option to upgrade to our VIP access at a small fee. To register, just go to fibrowellnesssummit.com. And remember all those S's in the middle. Now I've got this week's listener shout out for you. You know, I got this email from Mandy a while back, and I thought it would be fun to use a quote from her since she was our guest today. This email is about episode 102, When Children Feel Pain, with Dr. Anna Wilson and Rachel Rabkin Peachman. Mandy said, "This was an excellent episode. Even though I experienced pain as a child, this was eye-opening. Now I'm thinking I need to do more research for a picture book about children with pain. It might need to be a series to discuss the different levels. Thanks so much for all you do." And thank you to you too as well, Mandy. Thank you, as I said in our interview, thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for sharing your book. It's going to be such a blessing to so many people. So join us back here for our next episode. That will actually be our Ask the Coach, or our Dear Tami episode, where I answer questions that are sent in by you, the listeners. You know, I've been getting a lot of questions over the years about the intersection between long COVID and fibromyalgia. And to be completely honest, I don't have a lot of good answers. There's a lot of confusing stuff out there, contradictory stuff. And so I found someone for you who does know a lot about that stuff. So in our next episode, episode 150, I'll be interviewing researcher Dr. Keith Ellis. He is a long COVID researcher, so he knows a lot about this stuff. And to be honest, I am super excited to learn about this along with you from someone who really knows their stuff. So join us, and I will see you back here next time.